Good morning. So we have some breaking news this Wednesday morning for all of you, and this is once again pertaining to the injuries that the Indian team has been suffering for some time now. And so the latest is that another one bites the dust. When I say another one, that is the latest entrant into that long list of players that are injured. The latest one to join that is Deepak Chahar. So Deepak Chahar, remember, was one of the reserves. His name was also being touted as one of the players that could replace the injured Jasprit Bumrah. There were talks about that, even though there were other contenders. And then he was actually a like-for-like replacement for the likes of Bhuvneshwar Kumar or Harshal Patel. But the latest information is that now Deepak Chahar, because of the back trouble that he had, you remember he was selected in the ODI series versus South Africa, did not play that ODI and then was sent to the NCA. Now it can be confirmed that the injury is not going to heal very soon, which means he, even as a backup, Deepak Chahar has been ruled out of the T20 World Cup. Now there's been a surprise inclusion, that of Shardul Thakur. But remember, Shardul Thakur doesn't come into the squad. He's only as a backup. He had a decent outing in the recently concluded ODI series. In fact, the first ODI, he was outstanding. Now he's been included as a backup. So he will travel with the remaining fast bowlers. So 3 fast bowlers that will be traveling to Australia. 2, of course, that were being spoken about in Mohammad Shami, Mohammad Siraj. One of them is definitely going to make the 15. Most likely at the moment it is still Mohammad Shami that makes the 15. The 2 reserves will now be Shardul Thakur and Mohammad Siraj that will take the flight to Australia. They are expected to leave on Thursday, which means they will reach there on Friday, and then Saturday is the deadline, and before that the Indian team management will have to decide who that 15th member is, who's going to replace Jasprit Bumrah. So as of now, Mohammad Shami still remains the front runner. I know that there are reports that he has passed the fitness test, so he will be traveling, but I think the Indian team management is still keeping a close eye on Mohammad Shami's fitness, and that is why Dr. Nitin Patel, who is also the physio for the Indian team, he is also physio of Mumbai Indians, will be traveling with these 3 fast bowlers to Australia so that he can keep a close eye on their fitness. Just a couple of things. Let's talk about Deepak Chahar firstly. Deepak Chahar, for some time now, has been, getting injured on a regular basis. Remember, he was out with an injury, did not play the IPL as well, then made a return gingerly, I might add, as you saw in that series in Zimbabwe. Played a game, then didn't play a game, so he was picking and choosing. That meant that he was not 100% fit. He traveled with the team to the Asia Cup, where he bowled far more in the nets than in actual game, and then in these series that just concluded also barely played, so he's hardly had any game time after he's come back from the injury, and yet has been injured again. So there is clearly some issue there, and something that really needs to be looked at closely with Deepak Chahar. In fact, questions actually can be raised of a lot of players that are going through injuries at the moment, and it's happening quite frequently with the Indian team, that more and more players, especially fast bowlers, are getting injured, and maybe that is a cause of concern. Maybe something needs to be looked at into very deeply, as far as the workload is concerned, as far as what kind of facilities are being provided, what kind of training these players are doing. So all of that really needs to be looked at, because now it's a growing concern. Jasprit Bumrah, Deepak Chahar, you already had a few other players that were injured. Deepak Huda was out for some time because of a back injury. So, Arshdeep has been having niggles with his back. So these problems are magnifying. They are happening at alarming consistency. So these things really need to be looked at, why this is happening so often with a lot of players. So Deepak Chahar is out on that front. Now, let's take a look at how Shardul comes in. I think Shardul was in the scheme of things for the longest time, then he went out of favor. You're not playing him regularly. But now I think because the Indian team is looking at like for like sort of replacement, and that is where I think Shardul Thakur fitted in, because the backup for Harshal and Bhuvneshwar was going to be Deepak Chahar, so he's injured, and that's why they've gone in with someone like Shardul. I can see a comment which says that, why don't we look at getting Shardul as a replacement for Harshal? But let me tell you one thing. I know Shardul's had a good time right now, but he also can be very expensive. So I don't know whether that would be a right idea. And you've invested so much in Harshal Patel, last moment to make that call and to make that decision also may not be right. So I think that is not going to happen. And that's a question that Viraj has also asked, that do you think the team management consider dropping Harshal? I don't think that is happening. The team management has been consulted and they were of the recommendation that, let's bring in Shardul. The other interesting bit is the other backups that you had in Ravi Bishnoi and Shreyas Iyer. They're also not traveling to Australia. Maybe the team management feels that you don't really need backups. So Shreyas, they've not gone because they feel that they don't need a backup batsman. They've already got two in Rishabh Pant and Deepak Hooda. So I think the Indian team feels they can make do with that. All they need is more fast bowlers there as backup, because that injuries are happening. So Shreyas Iyer, Ravi Bishnoi will not be traveling. The management has made it clear on that front as well. Umran Malik, I know a lot of you are asking whether he's in contention or not. Now it can be safely said that he's not going to be in contention, because he's not even gone there as a net bowler. He's not even going there as a reserve. So any surprise inclusion of having Umran in the T20 World Cup squad now can be laid to rest. He is at the moment playing Syed Mushtaq Ali. I believe he had some visa issue. He was going to go there as a net bowler. There were some visa issues and those weren't sorted. So he's now playing Syed Mushtaq Ali and he's not even in the reserve. So as we are talking right now, there is very thin chance of someone like Umran Malik taking the flight to Australia. So him coming into the squad at the moment is completely out. Whether he goes as a net bowler is another matter, but that also doesn't really change things as far as the Indian squad is concerned or who's going to make it. So he's clearly not in the scheme of things. So that's not going to happen. It's between Mohammad Shami and Mohammad Siraj. One of them makes it. And at the moment, it is Mohammad Shami, though they're still keeping a close eye on him. He's going to travel to Australia. Maybe the team management will have a word with him and then take a final call, because they'll have about 24 hours since the time Mohammad Shami arrives in Australia on a Friday and when the deadline ends on Saturday. After that, they may even conduct a few tests with him in Australia. After that, they'll take a call. So just to sum up the big news at the moment, Deepak Chahar is out of the T20 World Cup. His replacement in the reserves is Shardul Thakur. Siraj, Mohammad Shami and Shardul Thakur, three of them flying to Australia tomorrow. One of them will be drafted in the 15. Mohammad Shami still remains the front runner on that front. The other reserves that you had in Bishnoi and Shreyas Iyer will not be traveling with the Indian team to Australia. The management has decided to don't need those backups. And thirdly, Umran Malik, all the talk of Umran Malik, I think now those plans I don't think will come to fruit, and he is not going to be part of that setup. So that's the latest news. Don't forget to subscribe to Sports Today for more such updates. We'll keep coming up through the day with more interesting videos on sports. Bye bye for now.